So in this video I'm going to talk about the left-hand path as well as the right-hand path, and also the middle path, which is the path I follow. So let's start with the left-hand path. Now, the left-hand path rejects all forms of social taboo and doesn't like any form of religious conformity. It's also very much about the indulgence of the ego. Not really the indulgence of so much the self, which is a very different thing, but the ego. It's all about manifesting materialistic desires and elevating yourself above everyone else, in a sense. Whereas the right-hand path is all about connection to the god or gods or the creative force, and kind of shredding the ego bit by bit and seeing the ego as more of a lens through this world and not giving it much. Basically putting what you would actually call the soul or the self above the ego. That's the right-hand path. So in terms of their magical practices, the left-hand path is very what I would call chaotic in its magical practices. It doesn't have very much structure, or it's not rooted in very much tradition. It's more just absolute chaos and absolute constant change and flux all the time. Whereas the right-hand path magical practices are more based on tradition and have a sense of order to it. Philosophically, I would say that a right-hand path philosophy is what you would find in a lot of religions, the major world religions, but also any form of really traditional religion, as well as the New Age movement. Whereas the left-hand path philosophy is more something you would find in things like Satanism or Luciferianism, anything what's kind of like that, because it rejects the idea of a higher force above them or a higher being above them or anything of that nature. I would also say, in terms of magical ritual and practice, the left-hand path tends to be more external. It tends to project out its magical practice onto other people. Whereas the right-hand path tends to be more internal. It tends to basically be closed off from other people and to completely go into yourself and to practice your magical practice and rituals within rather than without. Basically only presenting it to yourself instead of presenting it to other people. This is what people would call white magic and black magic. White magic is internal, black magic is external. The middle path, however, is what you could say a combination between the two. It combines the left-hand path and the right-hand path and is a centrist position. So it makes you more centered than becoming polarized in either the right or the left, and is the middle road, so to speak. The reason why I chose to walk the middle path is because I found that the right-hand path was too dogmatic for me. It was too restraining and too binding around the mind, in a sense, while the left-hand path was too chaotic. It didn't really consider morality or didn't really consider much looking into yourself, and it was all about the ego and all about looking down on other people. This is why I've chosen to walk the middle path, because the middle path, you can combine both of those elements together and it keeps you in a balanced and centered state, which is what I like to be and where I like to be.